Inflation has been a topic of discussion because the Fed cannot stop printing money and hope it remains afloat due to a shadow banking system known as the euro-dollar system that is 1,000 times larger than the Fed. I believe we are currently in a depression and that it will be the worst depression in recorded history. We are going to go bankrupt, and I hope I'm wrong. Like the Smithsonian Agreement or the Louvre Agreement, a new meeting will likely be held to revise the game's rules. They will declare that the US currency is dead and that the IMF, Japan, and China will all intervene. However, if you and I are still holding dollars, we may be in very severe trouble. The retirement fund giant CalPERS, which is I believe the largest pension fund in America, is in financial trouble as the dominoes start to fall. Firefighters, teachers, and other public servants are all toast, and like my poor father, are about to learn that the government has screwed them. Because they are involved in everything, they believe that their pension would be there when they needed it. However, it is about to go bankrupt, becoming the largest bust in world history. They are interested in all the real estate, rates, bonds, and pensions. Therefore, this is the most crucial topic if you are a baby boomer or have parents who are baby boomer watchers. My worry is that the US empire is coming to an end, and the reason for this is quite simple. Our government, Treasury, and Federal Reserve Bank have fouled up the US dollar so badly that they need to find a method to keep people happy. They want to simply print money, which they are already doing. Simply keep in mind that production is where money is made. So when we pay people not to produce, we're really just paying them not to rebel, which is exactly what happened throughout the Roman Empire. And what transpired at the end of the Roman Empire was that the leaders of Rome debased the currency by taking silver and gold coins, filing them, melting them, and doing other absurd things while they were fighting wars, and they started taxing a worker, who in Roman times was the farmer or the yeoman. For this reason, I believe the American empire is coming to an end because our currency is corrupt. Now, since we're talking about the phrases, don't fight the government, don't fight the Fed, and don't fight politics, I would gladly accept the money, so I would exchange it into either gold, silver, or Bitcoin. Returning to what can you do, like my poor dad, who had no idea what to do when he lost his pension because he had fled the governor as a Republican. He discovered at the age of 50 that his PhD had been completely useless. My family was furious with me because I said, "How dare you refer to your father as a PhD when the truth is that he was broke?" At the age of 50, he had no shoes on and had no idea what a financial statement was. I can't control Biden, but I also can't control myself. I don't think it would get this terrible. So now that it has, will it go worse? Probably. If you're not ready to hide in a bunker, I'm going to tell you what I mean. We can counter communism in schools by teaching capitalism in our homes. I learned this concept of capitalism at home. I was taught communism in school, but as you are aware, the media has entirely turned against it. I support capitalism because it is about freedom. It has to do with the Fed's current situation. The Fed is a shadowy structure of European shadow banks and has no authority. Although it has more power, the Fed is trying to convince us that there is inflation. In actuality, we are experiencing a depression. I talk about gold, silver, and Bitcoin not because I support Bitcoin, but rather because I don't trust the Fed, the Treasury, and Wall Street. I believe that people should pay attention, which is why I adore YouTube, as there are many bogus teachers there. However, this is the enemy we are facing. I want people to notice that it says 1 trillion Zimbabwe dollars, because this is the direction the currency is going. If you comprehend this, you would know why they have started paying people not to work after printing $10 trillion in order to stop the collapse of the economy. The Fed is trying to push the yield curve upward, but as most of you are aware, the true yield curve is a euro-dollar curve, not the Fed curve, and the euro-dollar curve inverted, which has historically been followed by tragedies. Thus, I believe that the Fed is doomed once more.
Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions about investing. Let's return to the video.
The euro-dollar yield curve inverted recently, and I believe, along with my friend Jim, that the following one will be the greatest of all. This is wonderful news for some, but bad news for the baby boomers who are new. So if you are a stock market enthusiast and rely on the market to sustain your life, let's say you are 65 years old and have to live to 80, you may be in big problems. However, everything was foreseen in this book, The Communist Manifesto, which is barely 50 pages long, and I don't consider myself a communist. Marx was a fool, but he was also a wise guy who correctly anticipated everything that is occurring in America right now. Marx stated that the boomers will collapse, and that is exactly what is happening in our nation. Sadly, Marx predicted that capitalism will cause the extinction of 50% of the people and lead to the spread of poverty. But my point is that you must understand that there is no solution. Just pay attention, and the reason I advise using gold, silver, and Bitcoin is because I believe in it more than I believe in Joe Biden, and I don't believe in the dollar. I believe I understand why I don't trust the government. I don't trust war, and we can't really control the outside world. But we can control ourselves. I can control my own mind, my own feelings, my own spirituality, and my own physicality. I didn't expect things to get this bad, but I am a leader inside of me. The issue is what's going on inside, which is why education is important, but you also need to care for yourself internally. The benefit of stocks over real estate is their greater liquidity. If I spend $100 to acquire Apple or Amazon, I can quickly sell them if their value drops. The fact that real estate is not liquid means that if you purchase at the peak of a market, you will be sailing on the Titanic and will perish along with it since you won't be able to exit. This is why the term liquidity refers to financial literacy. Well, how quickly can you exit is what liquidity means. Since I use 100% debt and don't pay taxes, real estate is why I prefer it. However, because I use 100% debt, I need to be 10 times smarter than the average person. And if that kid is born, you can be sure that there will be a new crucifixion, since the father will be a Japanese man and the son will be a Jew. They will hang me to drive away my investors. And I tell Americans that America was founded as a tax-free nation, not in 1619 or 1610, as some people claim. At the Boston Tea Party, when America was created, people said we're not going to pay taxes. And I still identify as a patriot because of this. Since I utilize debt, which requires a lot of research, my current focus is on how the wealthy actually accumulate wealth while avoiding paying taxes. Naturally, I utilize 100% debt because borrowing money generates new money, and the government lowers my taxes as a result of my use of debt. If you can comprehend that I receive tax breaks every time I borrow $30 million to purchase a real estate in Austin, Texas, you will see the significance of this financial statement. Therefore, I'm assuming that when I meet with the banker, they'll give me additional money because I have all these properties, have nothing against them, and they're cash flowing. It's a completely different way of thinking of being rich. So that's what I learned from my wealthy father. Everyone says they can't afford it and other such things, but in reality, they simply lack the necessary mental capacity. The key takeaway is that because there is a global currency, we are all interconnected in a shadow banking system that is more powerful than the Federal Reserve or a major bank. Therefore, the fact that the Fed, Treasury, and Wall Street no longer have any influence is the reason I support Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency industry as a whole. And you had better get in touch with the power as soon as you can because you know that it is here. Don't fall prey to it. Just keep in mind that while the devil dispersed this gold and silver to nations who detest us, it was actually God's money. Bitcoin is also the property of the people, and additional Bitcoin cannot be created. It's a good time to look in other places and acquire some gold, silver, and Bitcoin as people's money as the economy gets worse, because the Federal Reserve is managed by incompetent PhDs.
Hope you have learned something from this video. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the like button, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell for you to be updated on our latest videos. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Want to learn more and be more financially literate? Click on the next videos we have in our channel, showing on the screen right now.